That's me. I don't want to see me. You guys don't want to see me.
Some short segments on the. I'm game either some of the side streets.
Today.
Yeah.
That is best way. So we can treat that's custom.
Which.
Wow. I don't know where they want to go. Maybe it doesn't work out. Letter. You can tell by the we went and did that. That's what's we got, but it. I think we went all the rest of the house. Originally, I want to spend any money to expand over that, so. What we like to do is.
We also have.
We should be. We should have all been. Already there. They also. Yeah, but you can't worry that you have to pay for money. Need for an hour. Because that's legal.
Well, okay. Yeah, but they say it's going to be. Unless we're. Oh, yeah.
We're waiting to see which town will be first to drink. My next town.
Yeah.
Well, wait, are we ready to go on your side?
Sorry. Ooh, I think so.
On yours?
Sorry about that.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 of us. Anybody online?
Yes, yes. Who do we have online? Oops.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
You're, we hear you. We just can't see you yet.
No, you're there.
That must be Lee.
It is.
Looks like him.
There it is.
You know, if you have a request to turn off your camera, Lee. No, that's not what I said.
Right, so we have, can you see all that?
Yeah.
Will's on.
Yeah,
Lee,
can see it now.
across that. Okay, sorry about that, guys.
So welcome to the June 2nd meeting of the Water Resources Advisory Committee of the EDW offices. For those of you who haven't attended before, my name is Spiro Mitropoulos. I'm the chair. My style is I like to keep the meeting moving, so more of a conductor than anything else. I'm gonna take a roll, make sure we have a quorum for today. Lee,
Here,
Mary, not here. George is not here. David, here. Mark, here. John,
Yeah.
and Will, who's not here.
I'm here.
Will's here.
Oh, there it is.
I don't have I'm audio only. That's probably for the best.
I was confused by Snoopy.
Snoopy's
Well,
off.
I don't have the ability to turn my camera on, but I would if I could.
Thank you. So we have a quorum, we can proceed. We're going to go through the consultants' reports in about 4:30, give or take. And when we hit the item on the agenda, which we refer to as public comments, in case folks who are here to observe and participate, let's say, so hang in there. Lou, you want to get started?
Good, thank you, Mr.
And
Chairman.
while you're doing that, just introduce yourself.
Yep, we're Lou Ragazzino with the firm Wright Pierce. We're the owner's project manager for the construction of the wastewater treatment facility as well as the collection system. So regarding the water resource recovery facility, as we refer to it, as some of us know, we received a permit in August of 2024 for Buck Island Road site discharge treated wastewater there. We continue to look for alternate sites to dispose of additional wastewater. We've been working with the town and the Bayberry Hills Golf Course to look at using some areas underneath the driving range, some of the parking lots, and even along some of the cart paths where we could add additional subsurface irrigation for disposal of treated effluent. In addition, the golf course is very interested in the treated effluent for irrigation purposes. So they're looking to expand their holding pond, so they could get additional water to use on all 27 holes. I think right now the links course is irrigated. CDM Smith is the design engineer. They submitted a waiver request to Mass DEP regarding additional treatment needed to irrigate within the golf course, or both irrigate and discharge. DEP is still evaluating that waiver and that consideration. Item B3, borings and test pits were completed back in March and April. That was necessary for a hydrogeologic report that is the scope of which has been submitted to Mass DEP. Again, we're waiting on them for comments, but apparently at our last conversation with DEP, they were just going through the formality of putting together their approval letter. And we had a meeting with Mass DEP on May 27th. We have continuous workshops with them every month. We discussed different methods of infiltration at the golf course, including rapid infiltration basins, which are similar to what's being constructed at the Buck Island Road site, which are basically just big flat areas of sand. So we kind of eliminated that as an option. Infiltration trenches, which would be long subsurface trenches with waves that would discharge the ground. Injection wells and injection leaching manholes. So it would be almost like a similar to a septic system, but numerous of them, and it would be treated wastewater. Those would be essentially clean water going into them. So DEP is considering those different technologies. The infiltrate injection wells are similar to what Orleans has for their new wastewater treatment plant. So there are technologies that have been accepted, some of which are standard practice for, say, stormwater management. So we're looking at some even combination of those in different areas of the golf course. That would give us greater capacity to discharge up to the 1.8 million gallons a day we need for phase 1, 2, and 3, or the first phase of the treatment plant. But also that would minimize the disruption to the course so that it could be constructed and still be operational. And all the construction would occur over the weekends. So that's where we are with the permit. Still working through that permit process. The town did receive a $150,000 grant through the nitrogen sensitive area program for to assist in the continuation of these investigations and studies.
You any timeline on
We're looking
decisions
at,
from them?
we're looking at the completion of all the investigations towards the end of this summer, and then proceeding into design of those basins. They actually, if we choose something that's not standard practice, they may want to see like a pilot study. We're going to use effluent from the septic receiving facility to test some of these different methods.
Can you also step back a little bit so we can all move forward together? We have a permit to discharge at Buck Island. And we will handle how much of phase one?
370,000 gallons, which is
35%. So talking about getting another permit to go up to Bayberry, which we don't have yet,
do not have you.
right? So if you were describing,
Or they may just roll it into one larger permit.
fair enough, but at some point, we'll leave piggyback, we'll have a standalone, but we're gonna add discharge permit capacity at Bayberry. Talk about at Bayberry. Similarly, I was curious what the timeline would be, when we might be at Bayberry.
Probably the winter of 26. Year from January.
So during,
January
you
26.
said that's only 6 months from now, or a year,
Yeah,
6 months from now.
No, I think 6
Just
months
come
from now.
back.
So
Yeah.
still within the time frame of phase one's original schedules.
Yes.
Okay.
It may not be the full, all of pieces if we have to do some piloting, but there are some technologies that we can put on. They're looking to expand the parking lot, so we're trying to incorporate some of those in the parking lot design. And then that would still, if we have to expand it, it'd still give us time before that plant is even at its 1.8 million gallons.
Right. All I was trying to determine was if we would have a place to put the discharge if the sewer treatment plant came online, but it seems as if it's dovetailing together. The plant comes online as the discharge areas have been prepared to receive
Correct.
discharge.
And it's. We're on the opinion that Buck Island Road can take more than a permanent amount. And that's what we'll be monitoring while we start discharging.
Well, these alternatives outlined here going to be in addition to surface irrigation from the time off this?
DEP won't accept irrigation alone. So what happens if we get a week of rain during the summer months? Peak acid. So we still need somewhere to put the water.
So these
If
are
we couldn't irrigate.
alternate.
Correct.
And you're not gonna really irrigate in the winter,
Right, so we need still somewhere.
relying on it, there's.
Then the flows would drop. Population would go down.
You don't want to irrigate the snow. Go ahead.
So on page 2, just the water resource recovery facility construction. We're still in primarily the submittal review process. Matt Pitta from CDM Smith is also on the line. He's the project manager for the water resource recovery facility. There was a progress report that Jeff has sent around with some photos of the ongoing construction. They're in the process of really doing mostly earthwork
I have it, but I didn't make copies if anybody wants.
on the infiltration basins, and they're starting to drive some of the sheeting
He's-
for some
yeah,
of the
okay.
larger structures. That will begin with construction. Most of the building construction is going to occur starting in July and August, foundation work. But there is something I wanted to bring to the committee's attention is that there was in the areas, the 4 areas of the rapid infiltration basins, they ran into a layer of topsoil. So 3 feet beneath the sand, there was a 1 foot layer of topsoil, which was impacting the ability to surface to drain.
So for those of us who took a drive out there and saw this giant dirt mound, that was the topsoil.
That's the topsoil being stockpiled.
So you suppose it was placed there at some point?
Hi, this is Matt Pitta. Thanks for the introduction, Lou, and hello all. I can speak to that. That original layer of topsoil, as best we can tell, or the layer that we unearthed, was the original topsoil on the site prior to its grading to receive flow from the septic treatment facility. So I think that was in 95-ish plus or minus. It's matching up in terms of expected elevations relative to what we can find of those 1995 era plans. So essentially, a lot of sand was brought onto the site to level it. And when we started to remove that sand that was put on top, we've unearthed this original layer of topsoil and organics, which, as Lou said, was prohibitive to some of the site drainage. The demands have never been that significant from the septic receiving facility compared to what we anticipate from the WRF. So it did need to be, we had to take it out of place, and that is the darker pile on site. So there are large piles of sand, which has been excavated from various structures in the infiltration basin. And then the darker stuff is the sand, is the organic layer that was buried.
This weekend, there's not that much sand left on the site.
No, actually, the sand, the sand that's there is gonna be reused, so that's good news, that we don't have
They
to
just happen
bring
to go during a big dust storm.
sand in.
Fair enough.
Sounds like the organic layer would.
So
It's just-
any questions on this, on the treatment facility to this point? You're gonna be going into a little more detail, and Mike's notes have a lot of details.
I have a question. I probably should know the answer to this. No, at summertime, we obviously have peak. Do you have any idea what the time usage? Yeah.
I don't recall. Okay. Depends on- The whole phase one is phases 1, 2, and 3. So. Okay, so.
But there's a little point in there that's probably worth mentioning. I think what's been fascinating about this groundwater recharge discussion is how what we've learned is you cannot evaluate these sites in complete isolation. It's sort of counterintuitive, but you think that they would figure out, okay, we want this exact amount, in this location, exact amount in that location. And the way this system is put together, by having the various alternatives, such as, you've got the injection, you've got the irrigation, Buck Island, every one additional method that we put into play works with the others and gives them more backup. So if we have extensive backup in this one area, what we're hoping that in winter time, when we get this thing up and running, Buck Island's gonna take more. Until they get to the levels that they start saying, well, now these levels are getting too much, then we put in. So the more that we have, the more all of them at different times can either go up or go down. I learned that. I thought it was a much more static approach, but what they feel is by having different alternatives, it enlarges the whole. It's interesting.
Matt, before we move off the water resource recovery facility, do you have anything to add?
No, as you mentioned, Lou, a lot of excavation on site and driving piles with buildings coming up soon, and we're hopeful to get the electrical site work started soon. The primary electrical feed onto site, that'll be helpful on a lot of levels. The first building that'll be going up, and this will be relatively soon, is actually the vehicle storage building, which is an addition onto the back of the water department building. And then from there, they'll work on, there's 4 other buildings or main structures on site that they'll be working on. We are definitely very much working through shops and RFIs, and so far so good.
Okay, with the treatment plant?
I just wanted to add that report that we got from Nicholson. Very informative. As far as, where we stand with current costs and all that, but that information was appreciated on my part. Probably.
You know what he's talking about?
And report that Jeff circulated. Yes.
One of my people making copies, be right out with it.
Could we, as a committee, be given a tour at some point, so we could just kind of be cognizant of what's going on. We made the effort in the past to go see completed plants and half a dozen other locations in eastern Massachusetts. It'd be nice to take a look at what we're doing as a work in process. I don't like to encumber people's time, but there may be some value added. Usually a good idea.
Was there a CN on the property?
Yes, Eric Salo's our on-site resident engineer. It is an active construction site, so you can wear some work shoes. We can provide vests and hard hats.
Hey, John, you been out there?
Many times, but I think it would be good for the committee to see what's going on.
Yeah, I just found that there was a lot of stuff being pushed around, but there really wasn't. And you could sort of put your finger on and say, oh, look at that.
Yeah, mostly earthwork, right?
Right.
Let us know when we can arrange multiple visits.
The Conservation Commission, a nice type of introduction to the movie theater place, outdoor movie theater. It was nice to walk around with two of the,
In the drive.
yeah, two of the people who were in charge and giving us insights. We had seen earlier that now are completely almost.
Every other Thursday, this Thursday being one of them. Matt, are you coming out this Thursday?
I'll actually be out there this Wednesday. There is a regular progress meeting this Thursday. It's just a quirk in scheduling. So folks will be around on Thursday and I'll be there on Monday. It's not necessarily my site to invite people to, but I'm sure that everybody would be willing to work to make sure that people were able to visit the site.
We'll bring it up on our private meeting this Thursday. Actually, what accommodates the contract. All right, moving on to the collection system. So there are 3 contracts, as we're aware, on the collection system. And coming close to an end, contract 2 is contract, Robert B. Hour is the contractor for that. They're currently wrapping up all the work on Route 28, doing some services until June 20th, and then they'll be completely off of Route 28. They still have sewer construction on Old Main Street, which will continue through the summer as they work their way from the firehouse towards Old Main and Station Ave. But then they're also working at the pump station site, which is right behind the pancake. So that'll go on throughout the summer, those 2 pieces of work. I'm going to just jump ahead to contract 4 because that's the same contractor, kind of dovetails with contract 2 and brings the sewer almost up to the Bass River Bridge. And they're trying to wrap that work up. They've gotten through the intersection before the holiday. I believe they're working on Station Ave right now, trying to wrap up those short sections of sewer before the 20th. So all of contract 4 should be completed by June 20th.
So Ryan, is that a hard stop? June 20?
On
28th,
yes, so sure. And they'll be coming back in the fall to do final pavement restoration, so. Contract 3 is the section from Parker's River to, say, the Pancake Man, where the other contractor is working, and also along South Shore Drive. So the work on South Shore Drive right now is essentially completed. They repaved South Shore Drive for the road race that was on the 20th. They removed the majority of their equipment and material from the beach parking lots, and we're in the process of restoring those lots. They're working on side streets along South Shore Drive, extending some of the sewer from the main trunk line up to into those side streets. And they're also doing some miscellaneous work on 28, which will also end on June 20. So a few more weeks of paint, and they should be wrapping up for the summer.
yeah, which I think is essentially the 7th. It's June 9th, the holiday. And it can't work as it.
Lou, how much kind of work they got to do themselves?
On contract 3, they still have a fair amount of deep excavation to do from the skipper back towards Seaview,
West.
a section of Seaview. And Shore Drive and some Judan that go towards the beach, or shorter sections, but not on-site shore, but stable,
So they'll be back in late day.
yes. Okay, contract 5 is the section of collection. If you look at the map, behind the chairman, it's shown in orange. That extends from Parker's River west towards Higgins Crowell Road. That project had to be rebid. That was rebid on May 15th. The bids are due on June 5th at 1 p.m. So that's this Thursday. We hope to see a good response.
You gotta do those at the end.
Those are-
Yes.
So you get notification who will be submitting?
No.
There's no sort of pre-bid.
Plan holders list.
Yeah, there's a plan holders list, but yeah, you don't know who's gonna show up.
We know who
We have,
downloaded the file.
we have sort of an indication because we know who bid last time.
You know, those contractors we want to bid, we've reached out to, made them aware of the project was out. And then on contract 6, that's the section from Higgins Crowell Road west to the Barnstable Town Line. That is currently in a holding pattern. The apparent low bidder has agreed to hold their price while we're trying to work out a pump station location. I don't really have any information on where that stands. I'll find if you do.
I don't
I think we're
believe
still
any.
negotiating with different property owners, trying to obtain a site.
At some point you have to come to the table with something. So will we be able to do that by the end of June?
Yeah, we'll see. We have, what we've been working with the select board on is developing some options. I mean, obviously, the character of the situation was there was one single meeting option that the neighboring property owners became upset with. We had the December 9 town meeting, and it was a non-binding resolution that requested the select board to evaluate the options for that. And so since that time, they have evaluated what options exist. And I think that through the little bit further investigation and design, the select board will be ready to select an option. So it's not like there are no options and they don't know what to do. They're just honing in on the final option. The only thing I don't know is what their time frame is for actually taking a vote. It is going to be determined by some of the design work, some of the preliminary investigation. There were a couple of questions on a couple of the options, but I see it, moving toward resolution in order to allow for these contracts to move forward in the fall. That's the key, is to get 6, because we can't do anything with it now anyway. So we got to make sure 6 gets going in the fall. And so that's the goal. And as far as I can see, I think there's enough information being developed.
So the question more implies the deadline. If you'd like to be moving forward come fall, we need some resolution soon. Right, so we don't want to miss a fall window to start.
Right, you don't start working on it in the fall. Fall's when you want to start digging. So I know these guys, they're feverishly trying to get in there. Make sure they know what they're looking at. There may be some additional cost to moving it, but the idea is we're trying to minimize that. The last thing we want to do is bite on something that's in excess of the appropriation.
Do I assume that contract 5 will get awarded and then be by the fall? If it's awarded?
Yeah,
You
contract
should
5.
be able to start. There's not a lot of submittals needed for the initial construction, which is the pipe. It's the pump station that takes a little longer time.
So wrapping up conversation on collection system, anything from Lee? Are you still online?
Yes. No questions at this point.
Is anybody else? Any?
Yeah, I'm back to the pump station issue on 6. Understand all of what you said. Some kind of timeframe by July 1, by August 1, in terms of the board, select board resolving it.
Yeah, honestly, I don't wanna give you a date because it's not my decision to make. I could throw out a date, but I'd be making up in my own head and I got all these smart people that have to make the decision. And but obviously, we wanna get it wrapped up this summer so that planning can be in place for the fall. So I think there's a sense of urgency in trying to get it wrapped up, this summer. I wouldn't say in June though, it's probably more of a July or August type of thing.
Sparrow Mary's online too now. Mary Craig. Just.
I don't have, no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Great. Anything else on the collection system?
No, just one last contract 7. It's on the bottom of page 2. That was a contract that had some add alternates. Contract 2, some of the side streets between Route 28 and Old Main. And town decided that they wanted to put that out as a separate contract, but we're waiting to see how these bids come in on contract 5. And now we have a change order pending resource recovery facility from the circuit work. So before we award or bid another contract, we want to make sure we're still within budget.
And contract 5 includes the directional or on the fire partners written.
Yeah. So other than that, that's everything, Mr. Chairman. There's just some milestone dates. Which I think we already reported on page 3.
So anyone's got questions on the construction schedule they submitted? This is something that is public, normally posted on our website. In case you all want to know where the project was supposed to be working the next few weeks, it's always available on the website.
On that score, I'm not sure how much the committee has been briefed, but we've recently had a series of additional meetings with the local business community, Chamber of Commerce, and made some pretty good revisions to the communications protocols by adopting a more common language description of exactly where crews are going to be, incorporating elements such as the progress that's been made, how frustrations continue to grow, the more impact that we have on the business community from the construction. And so I just want to say Ryan and his team, all the DPW communications people, they've been working to develop sort of more useful and helpful tools to let everybody know who's on first, where they're going to be, what they're going to be doing. Sometimes, especially with the other company, they give you the look ahead, you read it, but it's hard to evaluate it. So we're doing our own kind of interpretations. It's getting a little better, but longer this thing goes on, it's just more frustrating. Any ideas people have on how to better communicate, more communicate, it's something we talk about all the time.
The police department has been very helpful in helping improve with signage and recommending where additional signs are needed for detours.
So just let us into item 3, any issues with the public safety or communications aspects of the project? Anybody from the committee hearing anything?
I could, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like the detours off station, especially the issues that Wood Road and Station have. I'm just wondering, is that something they could put up? Four-way stop early there?
That's what they're working on, a temporary signal, 4-way stop. There's a lot of information going in there. The police department has a full safety protocol that they've worked on, and, you know, we're gonna try to get a community briefing going on that for, the end of this month. To just, I mean, there's so much pressure that's been put on that. It obviously needs to be, babysat permanently.
Yeah, it was always that thing out there, but with all the additional traffic.
Well,
So stressful.
You have just a little bit of an experiment with this on the dentist side. Earlier this month, or last month. Four-way stop on the other side. The High Bank Bridge. Was a very strong tradition of that four-way intersection working effectively in the summer without detail. What's missing at the Wood Road Station Avenue is a four-way stop. Right, you could somehow navigate to a four-way stop, then it could self-regulate, wouldn't necessarily need personnel. As a matter of fact, the personnel at the other side of the High Bank Bridge made it worse. Last month.
Yeah, well, there's right now, this, I mean, you get to know that this Wood Road Station Avenue thing is, number one with a bullet, and with, you know, people getting hurt and killed out there. I think that you could probably expect to see, at least in the short term, the emergency four-way stop, the additional personnel, they ramped up the signing. I think that everybody's in a high state of concern right now, and, as well they should be. And, but the police department is really, on it, along with engineering, and, you know, they've been seeing the briefs go back and forth, just what they're doing, what they're thinking.
So, Brian, are you catching any flack?
I've spoken with plenty of business, members out in Yarmouth, and not a whole lot of flack, I guess. There's some frustration, you know, out there. It's kind of a tough situation, you know, right? It's, with detours and obviously with the summer months coming and traffic picking up, you know, I think the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people try to avoid Route 28. So that, you know, if you have a business on Route 28, that's the, you know, the leading problem, is that people are trying to avoid it, even with, you know, no matter how good your detours are. You know, that's been probably the biggest problem. But like I said, we worked with Mary Bilbon in the chamber quite a bit. We had our progress meetings, trying to keep the signage as good as we can, making sure that people are aware of, you know, where our contractors are going, what they're doing. Obviously, sometimes things change a little bit depending on the conditions that you find out there. So just trying to do our best to keep people informed as to what they can expect.
Check and see if there's anything more specific. Barnstable got some details on the other side of the town line, pretty close to the town line. The last few weeks have been very frustrating. And as people are coming and going out of those, are already pissed off by the time they get to our details. So I'm curious if anybody's picked up on them.
Yeah,
They do a terrible job on the Barnstable side of detailing around.
yeah.
Yeah, but we get complaints from Barnstable people.
We do. Because they're not sure where they are when this happened.
Yeah.
Right.
High state of concern, and the warmer it gets, the more concern it's gonna get.
Fair enough. Well, at least we have those systems in place to take in that feedback, and then it's up to us to figure out how to best deal with it.
Two things, I mentioned it last month, I think it's worth mentioning again. The signage that was used of the detours going down South Shore, in my opinion, when I saw them, they were excellent. And probably not a bad idea to continue that as we get on the 28th, especially in contract 5 and 6. I think, you know, more information that way. And the other thing is, I would assume that we're looking at a meeting, probably with the chamber and the businesses on 5 and 6 as we get into those prior to that in the fall.
Correct, yes, and I know that Jeff, Lori, myself, Mary, and her team are scheduled to have a meeting the next month or so, just to go over some of the things that, you know, we've learned in this kind of first phase. Some things that we can do a little bit differently. I think the personalized signage, that's been a welcome addition. So that's been helpful to certain businesses. So we're gonna make sure that we're all on the same page moving forward in the next contracts as well. Hopefully learn a few things. Like I said, as we
Right, and that's a key point. And, you know, just working with this team, I know that we're looking to add new resources to do the whole traffic management issue on 5 or 6. It's, you know, it's a little bit, you're ramping up. It's more congestion in a more congested area. You know, we need to evolve and learn from the first portion of this and do things differently, do things better, have more resources. It's nice to think that we can just manage everything ourselves. But we've learned that, you know, when you hire these contractors, they don't manage themselves. You know, so just suffice to say, we're looking to make some changes, hopefully, and 5 and 6 come in the fall. It's gonna just have more resources to try to help get the word out, help manage the situation, and hopefully, like I say, we'll have better contractors too. But hopefully it'll all work together. I mean, but it's not going to be just like business as usual. That's fine.
Thanks for the segue. I want to open it up to public comments now, make sure everyone has a chance to participate. Ostensibly, the committee is here as an intermediary with the board of selectmen. We take in as much information as we possibly can on the project in an effort to condense it for our own understanding and for our ability to pass it on to selectmen. Conversely, we're available to disseminate that information to the public if anybody is interested in partaking of that. Our meetings are always available online. Of course, we're all here as well. You happen to be some of the first people to attend. So if you're here to ask questions or give us information, this would be the time to do that. Just introduce yourselves when you're ready.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking us in. Why don't you introduce yourselves first?
I'm Elaine Richardson. I live in the Mill Pond Village, 121 Camp Street. I'm house number 1. And I'm glad that we're here first. We did.
I'm Linda Coven, Mill Pond Village, Unit 106.
And I'm Mark Petruzzi. I'm on Unit 105 and have been given the title of the sewer czar of Mill Pond.
Not to interrupt you, but I just wanted to make it clear to the committee, we have a letter from Joe Cali from the Mill Pond Village, so we were briefed about it.
Okay.
So if you want to just get into it,
yeah,
you should.
Okay, that's what my intention was, and the letter itself is self-explanatory. In fact, Lane wrote the letter, but I think some of the things you've been talking about, we're very interested in trying to get connected as soon as we can. As I'm sure you all know, we have a fairly complex system, sewer system, waste system there now, and it's costing the owners quite a bit. We're very anxious to be able to disconnect that and to cancel our work with the engineering firm that's working with this, which is Homes and Craft. And we have on site a lot of equipment that may or may not be useful to the system that you're putting together. And we're happy to kind of discuss transferring it or using the land that it's on or whatever you may need to make the system work. Right now we have operational pump station and a treatment plant, both with their own generators. And we have a fairly large, sure it's not large, you're according to what you're doing, but we have a fairly decent sized leach field, which is, and all of that, we have no intentions of using that in anything in the future. It's going to be just regular open land. So those are available for your use if indeed our location is helpful to you. Right now, we have 62 houses. Our whole area is already has a collection system in it. And so it's a matter of hooking up to the end pipe, and you've got all 62 houses. We've had meetings with Mr. Colby. He came over, he saw our facilities and felt very positive that there may be something that we could do, work together. Now, I know that we're not in any of the phases right now. It was my understanding that there is some construction in the last phase up Camp Street, but not quite to where we are. So it would require some changes and probably need to have engineering studies to do that. So I said, right now we have 62 homes. I'm sorry, 32. We have 60 homes. And the total is going to be what?
Well, we want to add another 61 homes there.
That would be the total number of homes that area is slated to have, was slated to have. And that would be all what we can contribute to the system, both in the way of financially and also to alleviate the nitrogen load coming from anything that we're putting in right now. So that's kind of the reason we're here. Our intention is to continue to be available to you. We're going to probably try to attend as many meetings as we can to stay informed and give you a chance to be able to work with us too.
And also, first and foremost, just when we learned that we're not included in the overall plan, our interest is first and foremost to see about getting included at some phase. Because we're all part of the same town trying to do the same thing.
So I have one technical question that I kind of want to put to you guys. A system like this would be interrupted before treatment, but after internal collection. Does that make sense to you?
Right, we know that.
So it's one pipe to the road for 62 homes, or eventually, but and it renders your treatment plant.
We want to get rid of it.
That's fine.
Yeah, we don't want to be in the sewer business. And so we're trying to get out of
It would
it.
be such a hurry to get rid of that, because that's a very difficult thing to get in the first place.
Okay.
And you've had initial discussions with our DPW director.
Yes, he's been over.
So he's obviously aware of the circumstances. How does a request like that plug into this process? I guess is the question. Thank you for coming here, but we're not asking.
Oh, I know you're not an advisory committee, yes.
It would come through some sort of process, similar to an individual homeowner who might want to query how to get into this future phases of collection. But this is a bigger deal for you, potentially 100 different.
And there's also right next door to us, there is the Davenport apartments there too, which would be very close to connect that.
You're correct, it's not in this current phase. We will be holding discussions in the next year on what the next phase looks like. Exactly where that is. We want to speak to it at this point because nobody really knows. And we should be focused on getting phase 1 done, because without that, we can't move on to phase 2. But you've done what you should have done at this point, which is bring it to our attention and meet with the appropriate officials. There'd probably be some technical questions about your system that eventually sanitary engineers would probably have to start getting involved with, but again, that's some point in the future. My own benefit, you've been sitting here for about 40 minutes listening to a fairly technical discussion about how you build a sewer treatment plant, how you build a collection plant. Do you really want to come back for another meeting?
what we want to do basically is we want to be helpful to you in this process and don't want to add to your work.
So with that, I was leaning towards, we should probably move toward a regular check-in, a regular communication. You can always monitor us online, for example. You are sort of getting the notifications from the town about when we meet. You probably also get the one that says we're meeting with the board of selectmen, which may also be a point to sort of observe what we're doing with them. And certainly you want to stop by every 3 or 4 months, just to make sure you haven't left our radar, so to speak. Would be the most appropriate way to participate.
And if there's any other committees that, or commission or something, we're not that familiar with the whole process, so.
So I'm gonna guess from our part as well, we're not quite sure what the process is gonna look like in the future either. To the degree we have consultants working for the town that we have access to. We'll be working with them to figure out what that process looks like. I'm not sure you want to chime in at this point, and tell us what that looks like either, but.
Well, one of the next steps, Mr. Chairman, is that a comprehensive wastewater plan was developed, which is what the whole phasing was based around. The anticipation was that some of the treated wastewater would go towards Bass River Golf Course. Now that more is staying in the Parkers River watershed, it could change the way the phasing of construction occurs. Where now we're putting nitrogen into the Parkers River, we may need to sewer more of the Parkers River sooner. That all spelled out in what's called a watershed permit, Mass DEP requires. So once we get a better understanding of what they're going to allow and where we're going to be allowed to put it and how much, we have to redo that nitrogen loading. So you keyed on
right.
The key point is it all comes down to nitrogen loading. Where do you get the biggest bang for the buck? Get nitrogen out. And since we're putting some, we are removing quite a bit of it from the treated wastewater, but not all. So some of it does go back. A large percentage of removal when you compare treated wastewater compared to a septic system. So that evaluation could, and things like your letter, could help reshuffle it.
Yeah, just to remind me, you guys are in the Lewis Bay watershed.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're in Lewis Bay.
It's actually my village, where you're hard against the Barnstable town line.
Right.
And looking to precedent with the town of Yarmouth has for years had commingled services with the town of Barnstable with regard to drinking water. Have you approached town of Barnstable?
We have. We did, and drinking water, but in fact is connected to one of our fire hydrants. That's where they're getting it from. Yes, I talked to, this is not recently, okay, it was about maybe 7 or 8 months ago. I talked to a person, the supervisor over in Barnstable, and I was asking him basically what his plans were for I guess that's Camp Street over there in Barnstable, there behind our houses. And he gave me the impression, or he said, that their intentions were to be working on the south side, or on the west side of town. And where they are working, rather than expanding up here, they didn't see that they didn't have any plans in our future.
Store point for the folks.
Yeah,
I know Road, that they went down Iron Road. Do you know where the nearest Barnstable collection point is?
Barnstable, I think right now it ends at where the Willow Street and 28 with doing all that construction. Yeah, I understand that there is talk about extending the pipe to the town line. So that's the last point right now is at Willow Street. Right near railroad tracks there.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're planning to travel up Willow Street.
Yeah.
Which would be required for what
Right,
they're doing.
right. and we do, in fact, we do have some land in the back of our housing that we're not using at all, but, and it pretty much, I think part of it is even in our.
Have you guys moved into a condominium association already?
We are.
We are.
That's how we were formed, 40B.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 40B housing in our condominium, but we
Yeah,
are.
we've gone past the point at which the developer
Oh,
is
way
running
past.
the condominium association.
Yeah, we're way past that. There's a long history, which I don't want to
I'm good.
Okay.
Just so, if you don't mind, just for my edification, you said there's 61 units now?
Yes.
But
60.
There's
60.
60, but there's also the potential to build.
Another
additional
60.
Another
Okay.
60, and we've been trying to do that for 10 years.
But you're limited by
No.
the wastewater treatment.
Well, we've been limited for a couple of reasons, and one of them is the capacity of the wastewater.
Yeah.
We can put 10 more houses on it.
Not
That's it.
60.
Everybody good? Lee, Mary, any questions? Before we move on?
No.
You guys okay?
Okay.
Thank you. You're more than welcome to join us again. Anything else, maybe we'll see you online.
Very likely.
I sent you all an additional communication from Bass River to the Barstool Water. That's just for your education and if you want to have the alternative. Get my alternative. AIE, you would know what it is. The other septic treatment. Technology. It's just.
Oh,
Yeah, innovative alternative systems that they're advocating for, in case you want to put on the agenda and have a discussion about that. You speak now or
Hey,
say,
Mr. Chairman?
jump on it. Lee?
Yeah, I had a question. I know these people, I understand their situation. I did read the letter they had submitted. They're looking to get on to our system. I'm not sure where their development is. Is it on Camp Street?
Camp Street, yep.
It's where Camp Street, excuse me, where Buck Island Road hits Camp Street. You're looking right at it at that point.
Oh, right at that intersection?
That white sign across the way is their development.
And what was the name of the development again?
Mill Pond Village.
Mill Pond, okay. And so they may be close to the Mill Pond Dam area? Backing up to that area?
No, they butt up against the town line.
The town line, but
Their flow is into the Mill Creek
Mill Creek,
area.
Oh, that's why it's got that name.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so that area is of a significant concern to the Lewis Bay Research.
On Camp Street, I had no idea what that creek was called. Brian
Well,
Bragg is here as well, in case we haven't overlooked you, in case you wanted to bring something to our attention as well.
Well, I head up the Lewis Bay Research Center, and so and I'm also affiliated with the Highlands Park Civic Association. So we have significant interest in what is the timing, and also personally, and I'm actually quite pleased to hear the level of this discussion regarding watersheds and watershed transfers and making sure that we maintain a hydrological balance. That's a very important discussion. I'm here, I want to participate, and actually I worked a lot with George Allaire back when he was doing the original comprehensive plan. So I'm familiar with the original design, and I'm interested in being able to help in any way that I can, both from a standpoint of helping you folks with getting the word out, because I'm also a member of Rotary, Yarmouth Rotary, and we as an organization are quite interested in helping support what's going on here, and we're here to help.
Thanks, Brian. Luke, does the state of Massachusetts permitting regulatory process make sure we maintain the hydrological balance?
Yeah, in fact, that's the report, the scope of work that they currently are reviewing.
That's watershed.
So that's
This is
watershed
something very
transfer.
sensitive, very important.
So this is a very interesting comment. And maybe we should take it up in more detail at future meetings, but we're starting, we will be seeing the removal of effluent from one watershed, and we will be discharging it in another watershed. Necessarily so, because that's our treatment plant and our first discharge is. But in future phases, it may either become more pronounced, or they're gonna make us do something that we should, it's more balanced.
I would think that it would
I
be
think the NEPA process that the project went through even just 3 years ago with the notice of project change, addresses interbasin transfers.
right, which is a critically important concept.
Which you can go up to 1 million gallons per day. They consider an insignificant impact. And once we start.
We all have our work cut out for us. Very beginning of this process, which was called the Section 208 process, like by the commission, was attempting to maintain remediations within the water sheds themselves. So we would be dealing with this interwatershed or interbasin transfers. But we've gone well past that now by adopting vertical lines, the town lines instead of the watershed mapping. So we're gonna have bit of oversight at these meetings. Plan to attend. I did turn him on to the notion that you could watch from a Zoom meeting, so he doesn't have to come every time, but thanks for chiming in and jumping in.
Well, it's important, and I think we can probably add some help, both from the standpoint of public outreach and education, and also, in the discussions on dealing with that.
Well, we know nothing happens in town unless it goes to Rotary first. We don't have minutes to be reviewed at the moment, so we're gonna leave that alone today. Anybody have anything they want to add to the discussion today? You guys like to meet in July? How's the 4th of July? No,
First Monday.
all right. How's that Monday, the 7th of July? That's correct, 7th.
Yeah.
4,
you're
5,
right.
6, 7.
Yes.
I'll be gone, don't worry about it.
No, I've already said that. For those of us who grew up in this economy, and particularly in the restaurant industry, there are no days off in the summer. So I know people like to extend their 3-day weekends into 4-day weekends. So it's just a thought. Otherwise, it's July 7th. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Lee,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Mark,
Dude.
aye. There's never anyone who opposes adjournment.
Just an hour.
Thanks for attending.